I loved this. It broke my heart, but Hobb is such a good writer. Such a good writer. It's been over a year since I read the Life Ship Traders trilogy, and even longer than that since I read the Farseer trilogy. And coming back to Robin Hobb as an author is so refreshing. Fool's Errand is the first book in the Tawny Man trilogy, which comes after the Farseer trilogy and Life Ship Traders trilogy, so there will be spoilers for those in this review, probably, just because it comes after them and you're going to find out some things about Fitz's life now. This takes place 15 years after the events of Assassin's Quest. And at the end of Assassin's Quest, it jumps forward to Fitz telling the story when he's already older. So it's in that time frame, it's not 15 years after that. In Assassin's Quest, he's 20, and in this one, he's 35. And even though it's called the Tawny Man trilogy, and here is the Fool on the front, and it's called Fool's Errand, Fitz is still the main character. So I will say right up front, right off the bat, if you're not a fan of Fitz as a character, you do get more of him here. He is the same character, he's older now, more mature, more experienced, but it still fits. And this story starts off so slowly. It takes its time. It takes a long time for it to feel like anything is really happening, but I was really fine with that. If you have read the Farseer trilogy, which hopefully you have, and that's why you are looking for this review here, Fitz has been through so much, such hard times in his first 20 years that you feel like he deserves a quiet time in life. And so it's like we are getting to be introduced to the quiet life he's leading right now and get to spend some time with him in that part of his life. And I also feel like if the first book in a new series started this slow, you would get unattached and just not care. But because it's a character we've spent so long with already, Hobb can afford to take it slow because she's still going to keep us because we're already drawn into Fitz and what happens to him. At least I am. So Fitz lives in a cottage with the boy that Starling had brought him at the end of Assassin's Quest, Hap. They still live together, and Night Eyes. And at the end of Assassin's Quest, and even the beginning of this, it makes it seem like Fitz is so old. So old. His body is worn out. He's lived so much life. He's 35. 35 is not old. Although he's starting to feel his age a little, and to be fair, he's had some injuries, died at one point, almost died a couple of other times. He's been through a lot. His body is feeling it. And so the first portion of this book is spending just a lot of time in his quiet life. He's getting visitors from his past, a few of them in a row, and a new visitor. And through those people coming to visit him, we get a very nicely done, little recap of what's happened in previous books. It just gently weaves it in, feels very natural. It's not like last time in the Farseer trilogy, dun 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 dun. More like reminiscing, making sure that the reader remembers without shoving it in your face. Do you remember this thing that happened? I thought it was very well done. I hardly noticed, but I appreciated it. And then also through those visits of people coming to his cottage to see him, we get to fill in the gap a little bit of what happened between the end of Assassin's Quest and this one. What was Fitz doing in that time before he settled in his cottage? And I also really appreciated that. There wasn't just this weird time jump. We get to see what he was doing. And all that time that it spends in just Fitz's quiet life, recapping, filling in, I really enjoyed all that. We are getting to know Fitz as he is now, not the young man that he was. We get reintroduced to his relationships as they are now. We get to really see his quiet life and why he doesn't want to give it up. It takes so long to get to the inciting incident of what finally draws him into the action, gets him to finally give up part of his life and go on and do the next thing, that it almost feels like two separate books, almost like a prequel to the continuation of the actual book. So these people from his old life who are coming to visit him, they want him to come back, partly out of love. They do care about him, Fitz the person. He doesn't always feel like that. Partly for his skills as an assassin, and partly for his skill ability, his magical skills, but he resists. He left all that behind on purpose. He doesn't want to come back. And in the world, in the duchies, the 6 duchies, hate is growing again, growing more strong and powerful for the witted. So people who are witted are really having to hide who they are. If any little whiff gets out that someone might be, they are going to face harsh consequences. And it is possible, no one knows for sure, but it could be possible that Prince Dutiful could be witted. Nobody really knows, but if he is, this could be a big deal. And even if he's not, he could be accused because of who he's related to. Fitz did get executed for being witted. One of the previous books, maybe the middle one. And then the inciting incident, which I don't think is a spoiler because it's on the back of the book. Prince Dutiful goes missing. So all of the other reasons that his old friends had to try to get him back, that he could say no to, now he is drawn in. And it's not necessarily that specifically. He has another reason, which I won't say. I'll let you discover as you read. But now he is back into it. He is back to being involved in the kingdom and its troubles again, and they need him. And he does not really want to be needed, but he is still loyal to the Farseer name. And then there's a lot more stuff that happens. And in typical Hobb fashion, she digs deep into human emotion and pain. That's to be expected. And I do feel like art in general, also fantasy books, some are for entertainment. You're not going into a fantasy book all the time for something super deep. You just need something entertaining, something to read after a long day. Sometimes it's for escapism, totally valid. But sometimes art, writing, storytelling should create an emotional response. Sometimes a story can speak deep down to emotions that we don't really want to experience. You know, you don't want to go out and experience the pain that Fitz is going through. But Hobb, of course, she's like, you're gonna anyway, you're gonna cry. But I feel like stories are a really healthy way to experience those emotions. It can be cathartic. You can have this whole like deep slewing off of tough emotions that you're dealing with through reading a story. So I did not feel like the point of this one was entertainment or escapism, although those are perfectly good reasons to write and read a story. This one was to feel things, which if you are this far into the realm of the Elderlings, you know this. You probably know what you're getting into. This is the kind of book where if you say, it made me cry, that's a recommendation. So very good. I will definitely be reading the rest. The cover illustration is by Alejandro Colucci. Probably saying that wrong. I'll put a link for him in the description. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys a lot. There will be a link to my Patreon and Instagram in the description. And happy reading, or happy crying. Bye.